I had poured every ounce of my being into raising my son alone. From the first time I held him in my arms, tiny and fragile, I promised myself that I would protect him from the world, shelter him from pain, and give him a life I never had. I worked endless hours, skipped meals, and endured nights filled with worry and doubt. Also, he could have opportunities one could only dream of. Friends came and went, love came and vanished, but my son was my universe. Every decision I made, every hardship I endured, was for him. And I thought it would be enough. I thought my sacrifices would guarantee that he would grow into the kind of man who could never be misled. But the wedding invitation shattered that illusion. My hands trembled when I read it. The name of the woman he had chosen was there in black ink, elegant but sinister in its perfection. I didn't recognize her as someone good for him. My instincts screamed danger, though I couldn't explain why. I remembered the nights he clung to me, scared of the world, and the girl standing before him now seemed to me like a predator cloaked in beauty. And yet, he was completely in love, utterly convinced that this was his future. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, unease grew like a storm inside me. Every phone call he received, every message he hid from me, every fleeting smile at his phone made my gut twist. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was being carefully guided down a path I had never intended for him. I tried to dismiss it, to convince myself that it was simply the excitement of love. But deep down, something told me that I was seeing only the surface of a dangerous truth. Then the first warning came, subtle but unmistakable. I noticed a friend of hers leaving a comment on one of my son's old social media photos. A comment that was casual, but carried a warning, "She's not what she seems. Watch closely." My heart skipped a beat. Could this be a jealous ex, or had I finally glimpsed the reality I had feared? That night, sleep eluded me. I went through old messages, photos, and social media posts, piecing together fragments that didn't make sense until now. And slowly, the picture that emerged terrified me. This woman had a history of manipulation, of charming men into believing a perfect story while concealing the chaos she left behind. I knew I couldn't confront my son yet. He was blind to it, intoxicated by love, unable to see what I had come to know. So I became silent, an observer, gathering proof, watching how she moved, how she smiled, how she subtly controlled every room she entered. And I began to notice the cracks. A fleeting glance at a former colleague, a secretive message quickly deleted, a strange tension in her laughter. Small things, but together they painted a chilling story. The night before the wedding, I stayed awake, haunted by memories of his childhood. I remembered the tiny hands he used to hold mine, the tears that fell when we had nothing to eat, the joy he found in the smallest things. And now, I realized that he was about to step into a life built on illusions, a life where my sacrifices might be wasted. My mind raced with possibilities, the suspense gnawing at me, knowing that I had to act carefully. Any misstep could push him away or worse, make him blind to the truth forever. On the morning of the wedding, I watched him prepare. He looked handsome, confident, radiant with love, but I saw the way his eyes softened whenever she entered the room, a softness that made me ache. He had no idea that beneath that flawless smile lay a web of deceit, a life carefully constructed to ensnare him. I followed him discreetly, sitting among the guests, my heart hammering in anticipation, waiting for the first sign that would confirm my fears. The ceremony began. I watched as they exchanged vows, her hand perfectly poised in his, her eyes occasionally flickering toward a man in the back, a man who I soon realized had been an old flame, carefully hidden from him. My heart clenched, and my stomach sank. Everything I had feared, every instinct I had ignored, now screamed at me. She was not who she claimed to be. The suspense was unbearable. Every moment felt like the ticking of a bomb that could explode at any second. During the reception, I noticed the subtle manipulations, the way she laughed at comments not meant to amuse her, the calculated compliments, the sly interactions with men who had been part of her past. My son remained blissfully unaware, laughing, toasting, celebrating, completely under her spell. I wanted to scream, to rip him away from the illusion before it was too late, but I couldn't. I had to wait for the perfect moment, the moment when truth would pierce the veil and he could see clearly. Hours later, when the party had died down, I finally handed him a folder I had compiled. Screenshots, messages, proof of her hidden intentions, evidence of her past relationships, all meticulously collected. He looked at me, confusion and hurt in his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" he whispered. I shook my head, my own heart breaking. Because you needed to see it for yourself. You needed to understand without losing everything in anger or despair. As he flipped through the pages, I saw the color drain from his face, the joy of the day replaced by disbelief, hurt, and finally, understanding. I said nothing, letting the evidence speak. The suspense hung heavy in the room. Every breath felt like a countdown. When he finally looked up at me, tears in his eyes, I saw the son I had raised, the boy who valued honesty above all, awaken within him. He understood, not just her, but the depth of my sacrifices, the silent suffering I had endured to protect him. The next days were quiet but tense. He confronted her, questions sharp and deliberate, each answer from her carefully measured, but ultimately revealing. The truth came out slowly, painfully, exposing the illusion that had captivated him. And when he finally returned to me, the choice was his, but this time he was informed, aware, no longer a pawn in her story. He chose to step away, to rebuild his life free from deception, and I watched, both heartbroken and relieved. In the end, I realized that all the sacrifices, the sleepless nights, and the loneliness had not been wasted. My son had the clarity, the strength, and the discernment to see through deceit. And though I grieved for the life I had imagined for him, I knew I had preserved something far more valuable: his integrity, his heart, and his ability to choose wisely. I had raised him not just to survive, but to see the truth, even when it came wrapped in heartbreak.